Well, good morning, streakers. I was sitting out on my porch in the neighborhood where we live just after my morning run. And across the street, I see a door open, and out comes a little boy with a RC car. Probably just got it. He was excited to get out for the morning because I could tell that it seemed the whole house was still asleep. I run pretty early in the morning. It's a Saturday, so there's probably some parents sleeping in. He probably went up to his mom and dad and said, "Mom, Dad, I want to go out and race my car." And both of them were like, "Please, go." So he comes out the door. I see he has the remote control in his hand, and he's got his car, and he sets it down, and you hear the whine of the RC car as it scoots along. And this little boy, I can see him working with it, and I can tell it's pretty new because he doesn't quite know how to use the remote control. It's a trigger and has a wheel on the side. And if you've ever seen an RC car that's a little more advanced, it has more professional type controls. And I watch him as he is using the control to move the car. And every once in a while, he'll go over and pick it up. And he starts and stops and starts and stops. And then finally, he comes onto the sidewalk, and I can see him clearly now. And he's moving this car down the sidewalk and just tentatively getting it going. And he starts to gain a little bit more confidence, and he revs it up and really turns it on. And it goes out into the street, and it comes back, and he stops it and runs up to it and makes sure that it's okay. And then he turns around and starts headed back to his house. Well, as he does this, I noticed that he picked the car up for a second, looked at it, and then set it back down. And then he tried to use the remote control to get it to go, and it wouldn't go. He tried again, and I could see the literal disappointment in his whole body. His shoulders slumped, his head came down. And he's like, "My car is already broken." And he picks it up, and frustratingly, I can see it in his face, he walks back to his house and goes back in the door. And as I was watching him do this, in my mind, call me weird, popped a short I saw the other day of professional RC car racers and how these cars are going around a track at who knows how fast miles per hour, jumping, moving, turning, without stopping, without doing any of the stops and starts that this little boy was doing. I mean, it was these cars are going. In fact, one of them pitted, came up, and they put a little gas can in it, whoosh, filled it right up, and out and win again. And in my mind popped this thought that every professional was once a beginner. And as you look between the professional and the beginner, what's the difference? What moves the beginner to the professional? How do they move from where they are starting something to where they want to be? What is in between? And as I thought on this, it's the only difference between the beginner and the professional is the beginner never gave up. As I looked at this little boy and thought about what he was doing and the slump of depression and frustration on his face, he has a choice in that moment. And in that moment, he has the choice to give up, never try it again, or keep trying. What's difficult is the patience to keep trying. The patience to do the same activity over and over and over and over again until you get so good at it that to everyone else, it looks simple. As you move from beginner to professional, what gets you there is a streak. Think if this little boy took the opportunity to say, "I'm going to start a streak, laughably simple, of going out and using my RC car at least one time every day." And he does that day after day after day after day. In 2 weeks, he'd be much better. In 2 months, significantly better. In 2 years, if he was doing that, imagine the progress that he'd make. Now, if that's the case with an RC car, and if that's what will happen when you dedicate just a small amount of activity toward that particular state of being that you want to be, from a RC car driver to a professional Formula One driver, from where you are today as an individual that can maybe barely read to one who reads novels, the only difference is the difference of doing the activity, never giving up, doing the activity every single day. That's what you have when you start a streak. And it's one of the reasons why when you look at streaking, you decide for yourself, who do I want to be? What are the things that I enjoy? What are the things that I want to do that will help me become that particular person? And I look at it, and there's sometimes I talk about what you enjoy. This little boy across the street probably enjoyed for just a few minutes what the car was doing. It's new, it's fresh, it's kind of exciting. And then all of a sudden the work sets in. And the work is what? Continuing to repeat the process, being frustrated that I can't quite get it down. Now, I'm going to admit something to you. You're going to laugh at this. Maybe you'll laugh at it, but I'm going to admit something to you. My boys, for my birthday this year, got me a Nintendo Switch. Now, it is something that I requested because all of my boys were playing Nintendo Switch. And when I say all of my boys, so from 11 years old all the way up to 20 plus year old, all of my boys play a Switch. And one of the games that they play is Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. If you haven't played it before, it's a pretty fun game to watch. I mean, the graphics in it, the expertise that it took for the programmers, developers to develop this game and those who designed it, absolutely phenomenal. They got me the Switch, they got me the game, and I started to play this game. And I am fumbling all over the controls. Now, here's the next part you're going to laugh at. I set a streak to pick up the Nintendo at least one time every day. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick it up because the hand-eye coordination is just not there. But the difference between me as a beginner and me hopefully being a little bit better at this game in the future, the difference is the difference of not quitting. And streaking helps you make that determination to never quit, to look at it and say, how many days in a row can I do this activity? So as I look on this little boy who was my inspiration for this morning, and I think about the different areas of life, these RC car or the Switch are maybe not as significant as some of the other areas of your life. And therefore, if you can set a streak and look at who you are now, who you want to become, it'll make all the difference. If you want to learn more about streaking, go ahead and download the Streaking app. You can go to the Learn page there and learn all about the laws of streaking. The Streaking app's available at Google Play or at the Apple App Store. Until we talk again, keep streaking.